This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Bareboat Alaska. Up your DIY hunting game with one of their 37-foot adventure yachts. You and 5 of your friends can hunt, fish, set crab pots, shrimp pots, and take DIY to the next level. Bareboat Alaska is locally owned by a Ketchikan resident who lives here year-round. Call Larry at 907-617-4542 or go to bareboatalaska.com. That's B-A-R-E boatalaska.com and tell Larry you heard about it on this podcast. All right, welcome back to the podcast. We have a special edition today. Have an anniversary issue for the Alaska Wild Project, guys. We got Daniel, Jack, and Brandon on. Thanks for being on here, guys.
Thanks, Omi.
I wanted to start off with just a thank you to you guys. We talked early on when we started doing the podcast that it's not about having your piece of the pie. It's all about making the pie bigger. And if you have people who are trying to vie for control or for power to be the biggest, baddest podcast in Alaska, then you don't really motivate and help and grow each other. So the fact that you guys have been just all about it, and it's really been motivating to me to do something more with mine and really take a vested interest in making sure that I have my goals straight and trying to do stuff. So it's been awesome to see you guys grow, and it's been very motivating for me to help provide something good to our listeners and not just divide up Alaska where you get the Anchorage people and I get the Southeast people. So it's really cool to watch you guys grow over the last year. So happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah, I think community is better than competition.
One of the big things that you guys started off with, and it makes you, and this is the unique thing, and I actually mentioned this in the short book that I put out this week, is that you have to be who you are, and you guys are definitely in the community building business. You guys have events. You guys just had the meat party not too long ago, but even from the very beginning with the Dad's Day stuff, you guys from the beginning have really had a business-oriented community building kind of style. Jack, do you want to talk to a little bit about the importance of building that?
Yeah, I think walking through this, with some humility and trying to reach out to other Alaskans. We're learning so much. I'm learning so much from Brandon and Daniel, and then the people we bring in, and then be able to share that with the community so they can use that information to inspire them to go out and do something they haven't done yet, or harvest some animals and feed their family better, whatever it is. I think we all need to work together, and it's awesome to see you doing that, and some of these other guys like Mission Alaska doing that too. It's great.
What about you? What do you got, Daniel?
I think my initial goal or outlook on starting the thing was really building on relationships with people that might be into different activities that I had some interest in, but didn't really have a lot of knowledge on. And having the podcast has really opened that door to building those relationships with people that are like really deep into that type of thing. Like I've been wanting to kind of get into pack rafting and I've said several times I want to get into like fat tire biking and winter biking, and just kind of being inspired by the people that come in and are so passionate about a certain activity that maybe I'm a little bit hesitant to jump into. But after speaking with them and just them opening the door and realizing like all these little niche communities, got their arms open for anyone that wants to join them, and they're willing to help you and take a phone call and give you advice on what type of bike you should get or pack raft or river you should start on. So I think the main thing is just that relationship building with people that maybe you didn't want to like invade a certain circle of people, but having them on the podcast just kind of gave you that opening to feel more comfortable to take that risk to maybe try something that you've been wanting to do but just haven't had the courage to get after it and do.
Yeah. Brandon, you've been on my podcast twice, and I think both other times you're driving somewhere. So it's par for the course.
I guess it is, man. Well, I was going to pop into the studio enjoying Jack, but I kind of wondered if it might get weird with the sound or video or something. Maybe I don't know if that would happen. I was just gonna stick it out because it seems to be going pretty well so far. I don't want to mess up the vibe.
Are you just sitting in your truck outside?
I am now. Yeah, I'm actually out front of where our studio is.
That's great. I remember your podcast with Tyler Friel outside of the airport. I was over there to pick up my wife, and so I just called him and I was recording, and it looked weird having headgear on outside the airport. Just had to look super crazy, but because it's Ketchikan, it's probably a big deal.
Yeah, no, maybe it's normal. Yeah.
Have you guys? Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to kind of make a comment on your question for the other guys that something that I really like to reference to is that I think what this does for the community is it gives people something that they can relate to. You know, I mean, we're just regular dudes and raising families and working careers or working businesses and trying to get out and do all this really cool stuff that Alaska has to offer within our space and our time that we can get out. And I think most folks listening to us, locally and I'm sure internationally or statewide or wherever people listen, they can relate to, what we're doing and what you're doing, Jeff, and you're a teacher and you're a hunter and a fisherman and outdoorsman and we'd all love to just do it for a living or do it full time, right? Like that would be the dream. But the reality is we've got responsibilities and commitments and families and things that we have to do. And so I think it gives people a taste of reality and what's really going on and what you can get away with and what you can do and the sacrifices you make to try and do the stuff you love,
Yeah. It was interesting when I started off the podcast, there wasn't a lot and still not a lot people who listen to podcasts in the Southeast. Like a lot of my friends, they've maybe heard of Joe Rogan and they heard of podcasts, but they're still listening to music and things like that. So have you guys been surprised either with how many people in Anchorage listen to podcasts or just how many people don't? It's not in their daily habit. I think maybe it could be because up there you have longer commutes, perhaps, so people are listening to more podcasts, whereas here it's a lot shorter commute. But have you been surprised by what you found about the podcast market in Alaska?
I'm more surprised on how many people haven't listened to a podcast.
Yeah.
Or know even where to find it and get it. And then you show them it's right here on your phone. And they're like, oh, that's what that is. I've never even opened that app up. And then you show it to them or you send them the link and they're like, oh, that's actually a lot easier than I thought of. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that there's literally a podcast for every person, no matter what it is that you're into, if it's mental health or cooking or hunting or, comedy or fishing, or there's literally a podcast for whatever it is that you're into. There's probably one even for sleeping, how to sleep better or, every little thing. I feel like there's a podcast for everyone out there if you're willing to just hit that button and look for it.
Yeah, for sure. And they go through cycles too. I've had some people who said, I listened to your podcast for a while and then, you maybe lose track or something like that. Maybe if I'm talking about steelhead, people aren't steelhead fishermen and they, pick back up when we're talking about Sitka black-tailed deer or something like that. So it's interesting to see that people cycle through, and I do the same thing. I'll go on, listen to Joe Rogan for a little bit, and then I'll take 2, 3, 4 months off because I'll be interested in entrepreneurship or I'll listen to books or things like that. But it's definitely a part of my program now, for sure. But, there's so much out there. It's hard to really, you have the ones that you always download, but it's almost overwhelming.
It's interesting to listen to different people's methodology. Some people have jobs, they can listen to it all day, or they listen to it when they sleep, or listen to it when they drive. So some people finish podcasts, some people pause and play it. Some people just listen to these short little tidbits of each one. It's just been really fun listening to people talk about the podcast. And then you learn, oh man, we're so much different even on the way we listen to podcasts. It just is pretty cool.
Has there been anything in the last year? Maybe we'll start with Brandon, and then we'll go Brandon, Jack, Daniel. I feel like I'm a teacher, like you, and then you, and then you. Um, in the last year, what's been something that you've learned individually about doing a podcast that was just all of a sudden oh wow, I need to do this, or wow, that was horrible. I guess we can do a best and a worst too. But what was something that you've learned over the last year of doing a podcast?
Well, I mean, one thing that comes to mind, I don't know if it answers the question directly, is just the ability to network with people in a way that I didn't really realize was so possible. You get comfortable in your inner circle of friends or family, and you kind of get complacent with that, and you kind of feel like that's the limit. And then starting something like this really opened my eyes up to, I guess, I'm a social person, but it's made me realize how fun it is to open up socially and network and get to know people more and get more involved with people and what they're doing, and them getting involved with what you're doing. And I think more than anything, in a society that's so kind of like, I don't know if it's right word, broken or divided, just because of social media and all that. We don't have to get into that, but just in this kind of current world, it's cool because this is like bringing people together and making people tight, and then networking and bringing other professionals together. And I know this guy, call this guy, this gal. I think probably not the direct answer, but that is probably the biggest highlight and the coolest thing over the course of this year that I've found to be such a huge positive impact on my life as a professional, and my professional world, and in this, I guess, newfound profession, if you will, in the world of podcast.
Good, Jack. What do you got?
Yeah, I think the best thing is learning that it's okay to pull this onion back, pull these layers back on someone's interest and passion, and not get to everything. Because what tends to happen is, as you pull this layer back on what they're interested in, if it's like rafting or stand-up paddleboarding or fishing or what have you, it starts to relate to like them as a person and their life. And if you're like, I really need to cover this next thing with them, you miss out on this opportunity to really get to know them better, and it at like a deeper level. And I think we've done a really good job of being like, you know what, we'll leave snow machining to the next time, and we're just gonna like stick on this topic for a while. That's really been the most exciting part for me as well, is like it's an opportunity that we get to even know our friends better at such a deeper level. The worst for me is that I get wowed and I become a listener. Like, so I'll catch myself just like imagining what it's like when they're, rafting across like some class 5 rapids just after they went over this pass, and put myself in that position. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't think I've said anything in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What
do you got?
I think one of the positive things for me personally, I think it's made me a better communicator and a better listener. Because when you're in a room and there's 3 of us and you got a guest, you have to be like focused and totally engaged, and kind of like what Jack said, because you have to be absorbing what the guest is saying, but yet also like ready with the next question, but yet have enough respect or whatever to let Brandon jump in or Jack jump in, because it's not just you in this conversation. There's 4 people in the conversation, so the timing of it is kind of like you learn that as you go. And one of the I guess I wouldn't call it a negative, but something that surprised me is just the amount of work that it takes to be creative and to be consistent with the show. I mean, the listeners just think, oh, they just get together and talk, and it's there every week on your phone, and there it is, but just like the scheduling and the guests and prepping for the show and highlighting and YouTube thumbnails and all these little things that go along with it, it's just a lot more than you initially think when you were listening to, Joe Rogan or whoever, and you don't realize that this guy has like a team of people, that's like editing it and putting all this stuff together. But I enjoyed doing that work, but I never realized that it was going to be as much work as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you just think that it's a great idea. It's obvious. Well, I'm an Alaskan. I'm gonna talk about Alaska. Then shoot, people are just gonna listen. But it's hard to get found, and it's kind of it can be a frustrating thing. Were there times over this year where the initial excitement kind of waned a little bit, and you thought, I just kind of want to take a week off, or do I really want to? Or you get that either imposter syndrome or just this, it was a nice try. Like self-doubt's definitely a thing, just how long you entertain it. Have you had moments like that where you were just not sure? We can go in reverse order: Daniel, Jack, and then Brandon. How about that?
Okay, I'll say one thing. We had a guest that was supposed to come on, and last minute they couldn't come on, and it just turned into like full scramble mode. Like, oh man, okay, well, we had planned to talk to this person about this, but we still need to be consistent with the show. So now we need to come up with something on our own. And it's like, okay, well, let's quickly decide on something and just go. So you're kind of not as prepared as you'd like to be. But I think we did a good job on, coming up with something on the fly. I think that was our quick day trips one or something like that we did. But just being able to pivot, right away was something that was interesting.
One thing that came to mind was, when we first got started, we thought, well, we'll do as many podcasts as we can, and work within our schedules and all of our busy lives and everything. And then once we got rolling, we realized that it was going to be really critical to make a splash. And I don't mean make a splash like, wow, we really hit the podcast industry by storm. It's not like that. Just we knew that in order to make this stick, we need to be consistent, like Daniel said, man. And it was like we made a commitment. Somehow, some way, we were going to record every week and have an episode every single week. And at first, it was like, well, we'll just get it in and kind of work our way into it, baby steps. And then it was like, quickly realized, like, no, screw that, man. We're going to go all in, be consistent, produce the show, do the best to prepare. Even when, as Daniel said, we had to audible a couple times. But we still got together those nights and recorded and made something, and they ended up turning out pretty good. And it seems like in order for a podcast to stick, it has to be consistent, because it's easy to just take a week off, take another week off, take another week off. A month goes by, people start to forget about you because they're going to move on to something else, right? So you gotta stay on your game and be relevant. And in this world, man, people are quick to move on to something else because there's always something else out there. So you got to be with it.
Yeah. You really you never know which one is going to stick too. So if you don't stick with it, you don't know who the guest is that's going to resonate with someone or who might be listening at that point. When you look at the analytics, and you try not to look at them too much, because, you think, oh, that was total banger episode. And then, it's down 15%. Like, what the heck is going on here? But you just never know. There's so many different variables that go into it, but you happen to have that good episode and you're staying consistent. And some of the episodes that you don't think are really good, sometimes it just resonates and someone says something and it just latches on, and all of a sudden you're off and rolling. But it can be difficult at times to stick with that. And that's the same with anything, any sort of business that you're doing, writing, podcasting, anything. There's that doubt, but you just have to get through that. You just have to push through.
Yeah, I think you're right on, Jeff, on that. Yeah. So for me, I think the struggle has been the days that if there's blue sky and I want to be outside, that's really, and you really you're rewarded by the conversation you have with the team and the guest, if there's a guest. And I think on those days you kind of have to give it a little extra effort to make sure it was even more worth your time, right? We have finite days on earth, so let's make the most of every moment.
Yeah. One of the things I like about your guys' podcast is that you guys complement each other pretty well. Jack, kind of the philosopher. You got Brandon's kind of the wild card, and then Daniel kind of keeps things in control and moderates a little bit there. But then you can all interchange stuff because you guys are all very introspective too, which is cool. Have you felt that has, and you mentioned a little bit earlier, Daniel, about how you become a better communicator? How has that kind of evolved in the dynamic of your guys' friendships outside of the podcast?
I think we've learned to communicate a little bit better. And if we feel as if something could be a little bit smoother in a show, we're open enough to communicate with each other about it. And I think just naturally we've kind of found each other's strengths. And it's just kind of been a natural progression on who's has a certain perspective on something or who's going to moderate the show. And it just kind of naturally went. I don't think we initially ever was like, okay, well, you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and I'm not going to do this. It just kind of flew by the seat of our pants. And it's funny because you brought up the analytics thing and looking at it, like obviously the first show has like the most listens. And I don't even want to like listen to that first show because just thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, we just like pressed record and just started blabbing. So I feel like we've been so refined, from that leading up to where we are now. And so it's almost like, man, I don't want to even like go back and listen to any of those ones because I feel like it's just been naturally getting better, as you do something, 50 times, 60 times, it just naturally becomes better. And you learn to read, people's body language, like the co-hosts and stuff like that. So, like, oh, he's about to say something, or he wants to come in and ask a question. So you really have to be observant on body language as well.
Yeah. It's funny that as you say that, I don't do it on YouTube, and my screen right here on the Zoom, I look like I'm in witness protection or something like that. I got the window behind me and I'm just a shadow. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm a real person. It's not a cutout. But yeah, it's funny.
You need one of those circle lights like the girls have, so you can do your.
The TikTok.
This is I can do a dance or something. Yeah, this is the first time I've used like this setup, sitting on the couch, which is awesome. But the light thing is definitely not happening. Pretty good right here. So what do you guys got on tap for this these next couple of weeks before we really get going into spring stuff? What's going on? Either for you as a podcast or as you as individuals, what's going on for spring?
I think we're nervous because we all have a lot of plans. We all have a lot of plans. We have a lot of outdoor activities that we want to do. I think we've taken it week by week, and with the meat party is one of the big ticket items that we really wanted to get by. And now as spring's approaching, and like Jack said, the sun is shining, and it's like, man, you start filling up the calendar and you want to get all this stuff going. I think the next, for the podcast wise, we plan to go to the Winter King Derby down in Homer. So there's a big group of us going down there, and we're going to do a kind of a podcast down there on one of the nights. And that's probably the next thing. And we try not to look too far ahead because, like I said, the schedule fills up quickly, and we do a lot of things together, but we have, our own separate friends as well that we go and do stuff with. So, summer is, we all plan to be gone every single weekend and as much as we can. And so I think we try to just almost take it week by week and, set that Tuesday date that we have. It's like, all right, Tuesday's the day that we're going to do it. And hopefully it's raining every Tuesday so we don't feel bad.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Yeah, I think like getting outside and playing a lot, blue skies, spring skiing's incredible right now. This Homer Derby is going to be awesome. Then right after that, we have shrimp opener out in the Sound, and then black bears with bows out there after that. And then on the podcast, we have Odd Man Rush Brewery coming in, and that's going to be super exciting for me because they're super rad guys, and they make good beer, and they have good hockey, cool stories background, but they had a similar experience as me, where as like a professional, they changed careers into making beer, and I've just always been interested in how that developed. So, and it'll just be an exciting time. So I think just all around, it's just lots of smiles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really pumped for the Winter King Derby. I think we just kind of finalized our commitment to taking the equipment down there. I got a house rented on Bishop Beach, and I got 3 other guys staying with me, and Daniel, Jack, and a crew are coming down in a separate truck and a separate boat. So we'll get all the boys together that night and probably have a hell of a good time, between the podcast, Howling at the Moon, and what boys do, So that's something to look forward to. And we do an annual, a really cool trip. We haven't gotten Jack to get out there with us with just scheduling and stuff. Hopefully he can maybe join us this year. But we do a really fun couples ride where we get together out at Knik Glacier Trailhead and round up about anywhere from 10 to 20 different couples on 4-wheelers side-by-sides. And we go ride back to the glacier and go have lunch and, do that thing. So that's kind of an annual deal we got planned at the end of April. So April's actually stacking up to be a really busy month and a kickoff to the spring and summer. So super excited about that. I think Daniel's probably still in the process of editing a really cool video from our ride last year, amongst all his other projects, but we'll probably put something together for that too. So really pumped about spring. The sun's shining on me right now. I'm sweating in my truck, and it's a good problem to have because I don't mind it at all. I'm so excited for summer, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. I get a little bit when you get a couple weeks ahead. Like, do you guys end up being almost too far ahead with the guests that you have or stuff that's recorded? And so, like, the podcast is going to air like 4 weeks from when you actually do it, and so you got to think and plan ahead. Is that something that you guys ever have problems with?
I wouldn't say we have problems with it. I would say that we actually focus and try to do that, just knowing that we are going to want to be not in the windowless studio recording. So we are already in the talks of like, all right, let's maybe double up some nights with some guests, or let's go ahead and do some of these gear review things that we want to do to have them all in place so that we can be ahead, in case, it's just too beautiful to be inside the studio. And so it kind of gives us a little bit of relief. If we happen to miss a week, it's fine because we have 2 or 3 shows lined up ahead. But it does get a little bit hairball when you're recording and you're realizing that this isn't coming out till, May or whatever. So you want to kind of be in line with whatever the season is and talking about that. But other than that, I think it's in our best interest to be a little bit ahead so that we have a little bit of leeway.
Yeah. I recorded 3 podcasts about basketball. And so I thought, all right, well, that's going to push this one back. That's going to push this one back. I thought, man, that's not going to be till May. And so I just ran all 3 of those basketball podcasts last week as like the Southeast or Alaska Hoops little special thing, just because it just had to happen that way. I was too far ahead, which never happens. I was running 2 a week just because there was so much going on during the summer. It was impossible to have. I just had to do it. But it's kind of easier as a teacher to be able to have those summers, and you can record 2 things. You can track some people down, and it's not too crazy. But yeah, with 3 guys, it's got to be tough. So what's you got the Homer thing? Is there like an event I'm going back to the road system thing here and my slight jealousy about that. Do you guys have like once a month there's something going on up there that like you guys aren't putting on, but are there events just throughout the entire year that there's things going on?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot. So I mean there's even a pack rafting festival up in McCarthy, right? And right now, typically this time of year, I don't think they're doing it this year. There's the big snowboard ski stuff in Thompson Pass, and you got Forest Fair and all those kind of things going on in Gerwood. There's a blueberry festival. You got Silver Salmon Derby in Seward. There's a big boat weekend for the Kingfisher boat guys out of Whittier. There's too many things to hit everything. What do they call the first weekend at Hope? The Hopening, right? It's their big music festival. Yeah. And then there's beer festivals. You can pretty much fill up every weekend, starting probably April, with something cool. The Haynes Brew Fest, that's right up your alley down there. I'm not sure if you've ever been to that, but that's the biggest brew fest in the state.
Yeah, we got some things that are just scattered around. I would love to go to, oh man, what's it called in Petersburg? It's a Norwegian community. Is it called? It can't be called Norwegian Days. Mayfest? Maybe it's called Mayfest. I'm not sure what it is, but it's like Petersburg's a Norwegian community, and so everyone goes there, and it's a big old weekend type thing. But you got to take the ferry to it. You got to take a Alaska Airlines flight. It's just a lot more cumbersome. And the same thing with Haynes, going all the way up there for that. If you could drive, it'd be no big deal. But getting on the ferry, which takes a long time, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in Southeast, but just being divided by the islands makes it so tough, and you feel like you're missing out on a lot of stuff. But Ketchikan's pretty sweet, but you just miss out on a lot of really cool things that you'd like to visit at some point. You just can't do them all in a year or every month.
Yeah, it'd be hard to do.
You almost have a better excuse to not hit them all because there's so much going on, and you got buddies that at least someone that's going to one of the events, and they're like, oh, we're all going to this, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta go work this event, or I gotta do this. And it's like, man, you literally, I don't think any of us like take a weekend off during the summer. We're always at some sort of event or some sort of camping or fishing, or I mean, it's full, like Brandon says, run and gun. It's run and gun season coming up.
Yeah, you got to do it. What does that really start for you guys? I know sockeye start, you guys call them Reds up there, but that's like late June or so. And so late June through mid-September, you guys are going pretty hard.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably Memorial Weekend, Jeff, is really kind of where the chaos starts. There are, a number of us that I'd say mine really starts early May when I start going out looking for bears, and those are a lot of just kind of quick day trips, probably more than anything. I've got a bear hunt planned in May that's it's going to be 3 or 4 days, so I'm going to start early. But to answer your question, and you guys might agree, I think Memorial Day kind of really sets everything off as far as it just all of a sudden now the weekends just start blending together, right? I mean, it's like one thing after the other, and on top of the fishing, camping, and activities, yeah, you try to at least make an event, a concert, a show, something every month, but it's tough to do, man. It's just so much to get out there and do. It's not enough time to do it.
Right.
And hope no one throws in a wedding or something like that. Just ruin a weekend.
No.
Good thing all our
Wedding
friends-
on the sheep opener.
Yeah.
My wife and I got married last June, and that was part of, we were definitely understanding if people couldn't make it. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, how do you not show up to our wedding? Do you realize that it's our wedding and it's in Alaska? It was just, if you can't make it, that's fine. Like, there were some friends who were stressed out about COVID. Yeah, that's fine. Would like to have you there, but if not, then we totally understand. It's during the summer, you got other stuff going on. But yeah, those weddings can be pretty, they can be at some interesting times. And I say interesting.
Another hot tip is if
Convenient.
you have a kid's birthday, have it during the week, because you're not going to get.
That's
people-
Oh,
right.
there you go.
Have that thing on a
Say
Wednesday.
that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, what else you got as far as tips for people who might be starting a podcast or starting events? I know it's got to be pretty cool to be like requested or your presence at these events. What are some other advice you give for people who are starting a podcast or some sort of organization, entrepreneurship thing?
Just start. Just get it going. Just get the first one out there and then make adjustments as you go. And don't hesitate to call or reach out or email anybody that's already doing what you want to do. Because as Alaskans, I've noticed that everyone is willing to help you. Everyone is willing to ask or answer any question you have. There's like no kind of like secrets or something that we're doing that we don't want other people to know. Just start and ask as many questions as you need to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's super friendly. There was I saw online somewhere that someone was advertising for like $200 or $300 like that. You could be part of this community of people who were also entrepreneurs, and so you could throw your ideas off them. And I thought, well, that's kind of nice, but why don't you just save $300 and just ask some people some questions, right? Just like send them DMs or call them or email or something like that. Like why is it you have to get behind this sort of expensive thing in order to make these contacts with people who are going to give you feedback? There is definitely an easier way and kinder people out there who are going to give you good advice.
The business of starting a business. You know what that is?
Crazy.
Yeah, and like Daniel said, man, take action now. Like you can sit here and I'm going to start this in a week or a month or next month, or I'm going to try this winter when I got more time. It's like the longer you put it off, the harder it becomes to get it going. And everybody's all over social media. Get on Instagram, Facebook, message people, ask questions. There's forums. There's all those resources out there. I mean, go save up a few bucks or go get a Best Buy card and go get some equipment. Or as simple as like, Heather from Heather's Choice. And she says the podcast with her ear pods and on her phone. Like, it doesn't have to be a big glorified, production or studio, just get it going. And it's nothing to it but to do it, right?
Right.
It's like the baby.
Yeah, set it.
Sorry, Jack, real quick. It's like the baby thing. It's never a good time to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? You just have the baby and that's it. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. I was just gonna chip in there. I think the other important thing is, like, I agree, get it going as soon as it's now while you have the momentum, but also be thoughtful in the way you do it so you maximize what you're getting out of it. Because the more you enjoy it, the more everyone else will enjoy it.
Yeah, it seems like you can sense people who are just doing this to try to get rich quick, or in order to be, I want to be an influencer. I want to get all these people to follow, to like, to listen, and you have to have some joy in it. You have to have some passion. Otherwise, it's just going to come through as something that was bland. And that was one of the things that I think I kind of got into a routine. Episodes 100, 150. I'm like, what am I doing? and then there were like three things that really happened. One was going up on that caribou hunt last spring break in Fairbanks, and I recorded the recap with my buddy. So it's an epic, winter -30 degrees caribou hunt, and I just had my cell phone on the table, and it was just horrible sound. And I thought, man, if you're talking about an epic hunt and you have horrible sound, that just sucks. Just the hunt of your lifetime, and then you're doing that. And then I was on Tyler Friel's podcast while I was up there, and I saw that he's got those nice headsets with the microphone and the stuff built in, and I thought, man, this is pretty sweet. If you're gonna do this, you gotta. Yeah, he actually called me the OG. I was like, dude, you're the OG. You had more. I think he had more episodes than me at that point. But like, dude, how dare you call me the OG? So those two things, and then being on your podcast too. And I just thought, hey man, this is part of a community. This isn't just me hanging out and Tyler doing his thing. It's like, let's get going with this and have fun and be more passionate about it. It was very invigorating to stay in contact with you guys and be on your podcast and have you guys on over the summer. It was pretty cool.
I think you definitely need the light thing though.
Yeah.
The light ring.
I have a picture of this on my cell phone so that everybody can see what's going on here. It's horrible. It's horrible. Do you guys have like a funny, like a memory or a blooper or something that just went kind of sideways? I know the jingle that you guys had for the trivia, Scotty Gomez was not a huge fan of the jingle there. Was there something that like a blooper in the last year that sticks out in your mind? I thought the jingle was funny, and I loved the trivia, but
that was quite a blooper. I think that whole night we just got thrown off. That whole night was a blooper. It seemed like. And actually, we kind of had a blooper the other time. We brought back the trivia, and I realized that I didn't have the jingle anymore. I was messing around with the buttons on the machine we use, and I lost the jingle. And I don't even remember where I got it. I tried to find it. I couldn't find where I got the jingle. And so we just went ahead and did the last show with the trivia without the jingle. So that was one of the bloopers.
Yeah, I think the Dudes Day, when towards the end of the day, where like I had less employees there at Double Shovel managing like where people had alcohol, and so we're on the podcast and I'm trying to like point for people to not come outside the area where you can drink, and it just kind of got a little funny then.
Definitely was.
Yeah, when you do those events and you record somewhere outside of your little area, your studio, your house, or wherever you do, you never know what's going to happen. Things are just going to sometimes go off the rail, and you got to be ready for it.
You guys kind of like the on location stuff? Is it not that in the studio is boring or anything, but you kind of like the thrill of that chaos and things being a little bit maybe unpredictable?
Yeah, I would say so, man. We had a blast at the Jewel Lake Jamboree a few weeks back for the Bait Shack and Dustin Slinker. We went out to Jewel Lake there and set up in a little area outside, and thank goodness the weather was good and it wasn't blowing sideways, and it was a good turnout. But you don't know how it's going to go. We kind of had guests lined up. A couple folks bailed and couldn't, come over and talk, and we were able to get some fish and game reps out there that we weren't sure if they were going to want to commit to come talk, because they sometimes got to be careful what they say, We did the Bait Shack deal last summer down at Ship Creek, thinking it was going to be crazy, and there was like nobody on the creek that day. So we were like, oh wow, we thought we'd have all this like stuff going on and fish slinging and slime flying, and it was like really quiet night. So yeah, it's kind of like you don't know what to expect. You just gotta go out there, set up, and do your business and see what happens.
For that YouTube thing, are you guys doing more stuff with that? I was looking at how many hours it takes, so how many minutes watched in order to get it monetized, and then how many people you have to have subscribed. Are you guys reaching for that sort of stuff, or are you just putting stuff out there, or what's the YouTube plan?
I don't think there's a real like goal, like, oh, we got to have 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize and all that stuff. I just learned that, some people consume the podcast that way only. So we figure as many different avenues we can get the product out there for people to listen to it or watch it. That's great. And like Brandon said, I have several videos that I've been like trying to edit, like me and Jack and mine's sheep hunt and the couples ride, and we'll probably do something for the King Derby and things like that. Just kind of like something that goes along with all the things we're doing, just to give kind of people a visual. But I don't think there's any set, like we're trying to be YouTube, stars like all the kids or anything like that. We just feel me personally, I just feel it's just another stream, another, Spotify, Apple, Google and YouTube, because some people only have YouTube at their house or on their TV or whatever. So it's really just like a way to, you know what, actually that's not true, because we were talking about doing the gear stuff and really getting into a little bit of that, where that's really more geared towards YouTube, so that people can actually see what we're talking about. Because we have a lot of experience with a lot of, technical gear and things that we found that really work. So we just actually had a talk the other day about that. And that's probably going to do a lot better than, just people watching us talk on YouTube at the studio. So I think that's one way, which hopefully in 2022 we'll do a little bit better with that.
Yeah. That's one thing I mentioned in my book about how it's so hard to trust gear reviews and testimonials. If you just go to the website and you're checking out a pair of Stone Glacier pants or a pack or something like that, you have people who put 5 stars and they haven't even taken it out of the box yet. Yeah. And you think, well, this doesn't help me at all. And so the little tally, it says, oh, this is a 4.8 star pack, when you have people who are giving it 5 stars and it doesn't tell you anything. I think the Stone Glacier is a great pack, but you just get a lot of that out there. So people who are not paid, giving you legit feedback, I think is a really valuable thing. You have the testimonials from the big people and the influencers in the industry too. Like some of those people are just like free agents, whoever's got the best deal, they're going to wear their pack or they're going to run their camo. So just the people who put it through the ringer, who use the heck out of it, can give good feedback. And it's not that you're trashing on a company or not. It's just, hey, this is good or this isn't. That's important stuff to have.
Yeah, I like to start on the 2-star reviews when I look at something, and that because the 5-star, it's like, okay, well, you're not going to give me anything that I really want to know. I want to know what's possibly going to go wrong with this thing, So always start with the 2-star reviews.
Yeah, and then it's someone who's like, this didn't come with any. It didn't come. It was just a bag. It didn't come with a frame. It's like, dude, you get a 2-star because you couldn't read. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Sometimes it's funny, but well, we're coming up on an hour here. What do you guys got for closers for anything last couple of minutes here?
Well, I'd say let's keep this train rolling, man. You guys started the conversation, or we did, Jeff. You started the conversation with the community growth of the podcast in Alaska, man. And I mentioned earlier in the show too about the networking, man. I met so many cool people, and it just keeps getting better. We just had this meet party, our anniversary meet party, and man, what a blast. Jeff, we missed you. We sincerely missed you. I hope you can make it next year, man. I told Daniel I was damn near ready to just charge a flight on my Alaska Airlines card and just get you up here. But anyway, I think just continue to grow together, work together, share ideas, forward us a guest. We'll forward you a guest, and, or people to talk to and network with and resources and information, and just keep on looking out for each other. And I think we're all going to grow and be successful, and the outcome is going to be, positive for everybody, man. So that's what I'd like to close it on my end.
I should have zoomed into the meat party, but it looked like it was getting pretty wild. So,
Yeah,
we just had to pay another $350 cleaning fee. So yeah, it got a little, it got interesting.
Yeah, well, you got the excitement of the meat party. You got the anniversary. You've got probably some residual pent up COVID sort of stuff. That's things are going to get wild pretty quick.
Yeah. I think I'm excited to get outside and play with you, Jeff. So I want to close it on inviting you to come up and do something with us, pedal bikes or wet some lines, or maybe we can meet somewhere we both know in the middle. And use some streamers. And then just a little bit of appreciation for, what you're doing. Like keep on getting out there and, digging into awesome Alaska topics and showing people what it's really like and being authentic. That's how you roll. And I really appreciate that about you.
Thanks. Yeah, we definitely got to get up there. I got a pair of skis, so hopefully maybe next winter at some point, get up there and do some skiing or something like that. So looking forward to that. Book some tickets to go up to caribou hunting Fairbanks up in the Brooks. Drive from there to rent a car, go up to the Brooks and do some caribou hunting in August. So that'll be sweet. But yeah, that's the next big trip.
Nice. You rocking a bow up there?
Yeah, we're gonna bring a bow and then also a rifle just in case. So if we haven't got anything and we want to hike past the 5-mile barrier and just make sure we make at least get something for the trip.
Never a bad idea.
Yeah,
That'll be awesome. Yeah, and I mentioned to you, Jeff, before, as you sent me some of your articles, and I'm always checking on what you got going writing. You can really hear your authenticity and your beliefs and your opinions on the things that you write. And there's not a lot of fluff and BS. It's just like you're asking legitimate questions and giving your opinion on it. And it's just, it's almost like you're writing for us. You're not writing to like outsiders. You're kind of writing just like to your fellow peers, in the outdoor kind of industry, like what's the real deal going on here, and I really appreciate that. And my little closer, I'd say we receive a ton of questions through email and through our Instagram and Facebook and stuff from people from all over the world on various topics, on things that we got going on. And I would say anyone listening, like, don't hesitate. If you have a question, there is no dumb question. If you're wondering about, what jacket we use for this or what's the best, auger or whatever, like keep them coming and we're going to answer it the best we can. And if I can't answer it, I'll pass it off to Jack or Brandon, whoever has more experience. I think that engagement with the audience where there's so many people that listen and you don't know them, what I'm saying? They're just a number on your analytics, but that one person that reaches out and says, hey, I heard this on this. Can you tell me more about it? Or I was thinking about this. Can you connect me with someone? I think I enjoy that a lot. And I just feel it just kind of connects you with that one person. Whereas, who knows who's listening, and who knows who's really absorbing it all the way. But when you get that one person that just has a question, you can tell that they really listen to what you guys are doing. It just makes you feel like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Do you get more of your questions from the contact button on the alaskawildproject.com or through your Alaska Wild Project Instagram?
I would say through the email, and I would say through the Instagram is probably the most amount of questions. And a lot of questions from the Nordic area, Sweden, Norway, things like that. Whereas they kind of live the same kind of lifestyle we do, but they're curious on how we do it.
Yeah,
which is
cool.
Really cool. And I have questions for them. I'm like, okay, well, we do this, and how do you guys do it? So yeah. that's I really enjoy that.
Yeah, the connection thing is such an awesome part. You get to meet such great people, and you become friends with fellow podcasters, and make contacts with people who are your guests, and then people who just chime in and just say, hey, thanks, I like what you're doing, or just asking questions. It's really cool to be able to connect with those people and feel that you're really bringing like value to it. It sounds cliche and people use it a lot, but really that's what it's about. Not, like we talked about analytics, but it's fun to be able to do something that feels like it has a cool purpose. Yeah. Well, we'll leave it at that. Again, AlaskaWildProject.com. You can check that out on Instagram, Alaska Wild Project, Apple, Spotify for the podcast. Leave reviews and also like those, of course. Spotify has that new feature where you can like that, or you can rate that. Rate and review is excellent on Spotify to get that out there. Also, the YouTube channel, that's Alaska Wild Project. And then go to watch that YouTube video. Which is the YouTube video where you guys go up the wrong drainage while you're goat hunting?
That was we were sheep hunting. I think that's the very first video on our thing. I want to say it's the 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, oh, I gotta have these guys on here because this is perfect. They are doing the thing, but they are not afraid to say, yeah, we screwed that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think you're mediocre. Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, yeah, we all are.
I'll show you.
To pretend that you're not is crazy. But thanks again for being on here, guys. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the episode tonight and have fun recording. And again, congratulations on a great year.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Take care.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it, brother.
Bye.